You're listening to The Pain Chaser 1, Ambuscade. This audiobook contains violence, torture, drug use, and scenes of a graphic and often disturbing sexual nature. It should go without saying that it is not intended for children. Now turn up the sound, turn down the lights, and find a comfortable place to hide. Because fear has a face, and I'm going to show it to you. Chapter 8. Downstairs in the teacher's lounge, the others continue to discuss the strange objects lying on the floor between them. Don't you think it's more likely that all of this stuff is just an elaborate hoax? Tabby was asking. Shit like that only really happens in movies. Haven't you ever heard of David Koresh? Anton asked her. The sound of breaking glass interrupted them as the window shattered on the floor above. The four of them made a dash down the hall in the general direction of the sound. Moments later, they stood in the entryway, looking out into the gloom. The world outside was a relatively featureless blanket of white. 50-some-odd feet from the hump that marked the position of Steve's SUV on the future bus platform was an obvious shape in the snow, an intrusion in this otherwise uniform world. At this distance, and in this light, the splash of color marking the ground looked black. Of what they were seeing, no one could be sure, but each of them felt a rising dread in their stomachs. Rob alone opened the door and plunged out into the overcast morning bleakness. A moment later, Annie was at his elbow. He felt elated to have her there, but the dark shape looming ahead still promised a horror he was not sure he was prepared for. The cold stung at their exposed faces, and their legs grew damp as they plunged up to the knee into the snow with each step. The form in the snow grew more distinct as they approached. The black slowly became a deep crimson. Steve lay pathetically broken in a deep indent in the snow. Blood and glass covered everything. His neck was turned at an unnatural angle, and the screwdriver was still lodged to the handle in its side. His eyes were wide, and fresh snow had already begun to collect on his face, sticking to the new bright red beard bristles. "What?" Annie started. Rob looked up at the broken window above them in response to her unsaid question. Something, a hulking form, stood there, staring down at them maliciously, before turning with dreamlike slowness and disappearing into the school. "Go!" Rob yelled at Annie, half pushing her as he began to run himself, back toward the school. It was hard to truly run in the deep snow, and each of them stumbled multiple times. Once Annie actually fell in completely, disappearing from view before Rob turned back to help pull her to her feet. What was, Tabby began to ask, but Rob and Annie were pushing past and pulling her and Anton along as they went. "Run!" Rob yelled at them simply. There was terror in his voice. "What the hell's going on?" Anton asked them as he ran to keep up. "It was Steve," Annie told him, tears of fear stinging in her eyes. "Someone killed him. They're still in the building. We need to get somewhere safe." "What?" Tabby blurted. "What do you mean?" "Are you fucking deaf?" Rob screamed at her without even looking back. "He's dead! He's lying out there with a fucking screwdriver in his neck, and whoever did it is still in the school. We saw him standing in the window upstairs, just looking at us." "Do you think it's the Colt?" Anton asked. "The Morsus Labare?" "I don't know, Ant. Just shut up and run!" Rob yelled at him. "But where?" Anton asked in desperation. "Back to the teacher's lounge," Rob said. "No, wait!" Annie said, grabbing a hold of his arm. "We need to call the police. We should go back to the office." "Yeah," Rob said, looking at her. "Yeah, come on, this way. It's faster." He led them back the way they had come. A minute later, they were scrambling inside the office, and Rob locked the door behind them. They were all completely winded, breathing heavily out of exhaustion and terror, clutching at multiple stitches and cramps from their hasty flight. "Okay," Anton said, raising his hands in front of Rob, as if he were afraid the other would try to run. "Now tell me exactly what happened." "I already did, man," Rob told him. "Steve's dead." "Who killed him?" Anton asked him desperately. "Dude, how the fuck should I know? You know as much as I do." Tabby appeared as though she was looking for something. Pacing the room, staring at the floor before finally collapsing in the corner, and beginning to cry. Annie watched her break down, herself strangely calm in comparison. She took a deep breath and picked up the telephone attached to the wall. She dialed 911. It rang several times before someone finally answered. The voice sounded tinny and distant. "Kettle Creek Police Department, what's your emergency?" the voice asked breathlessly. Annie had the impression the other had run to the phone. "My name is Annie Bauman," she said, surprised at the panic she heard in her own voice. "I'm part of an inspection team that was sent to the Kettle Creek High School. We need help. Something attacked and killed one of my co-workers. It's somewhere inside the building." She felt silly for saying it, but she still had no idea who or what had killed Steve. The phone popped and hissed. There was no response on the end of the line. At least, not one she could hear. She felt her panic rising sharply. "We found some kind of old room underneath the school," she continued, praying the other could still hear her. "Then someone killed Steve and threw him out a second-story window. God, there's so much blood. We need help. Please get us out of here." There was a pause. "Ma'am, where are you?" The other broke through the static suddenly. Annie's heart gave a sudden leap. "We're trapped inside the old Kettle Creek High School. I think something's hunting us. It already killed my co-worker Steve. We need help badly. Hear me. I need you to... me very carefully. The snow... through the streets like this. I know you have an emergency. Get to a safe place and stay there. Lock yourself in if you can." I can't hear you," Annie yelled into the receiver frantically. "Did you say you were sending someone? Please, God, did you say someone is coming to help us? There are all these weird things, an old book and these mechanical insects." She was crying now, and realized she'd lost the line, but could not stop herself. "I don't want to die in this place. Please answer me. Please." Rob rushed forward and grabbed the phone from her hands and cradled her in his arms. She collapsed against him, sobbing loudly. "What happened?" Anton asked impatiently. She felt embarrassed at her sudden breakdown and drew a shirt sleeve across her face to dry her eyes. She knew her makeup must be all over her face, but there was nothing she could do. "I think I got through," she told him. "It's hard to tell. The line was really bad." "Then call back," Anton said frantically. "Can't," Rob broke in, holding up the phone. "The line's dead now. I'm not getting a dial tone." Anton wheeled suddenly on Tabby, who sat in the corner rocking herself gently. "What about your cell phone, Tabby? Does that work?" She looked at him with fear and disdain, as if angered that he would bother her at a time like this. "Tabby," he said sharply. "No," she said as if suddenly snapping awake. No, the battery's dead. It doesn't last very long." "Great," Anton said, throwing his hands up. "What the hell are we going to do?" "The woman on the phone did say to lock ourselves in if we could. She said get to a safe place and lock ourselves in," Annie offered. "Sounds like a plan to me," Rob said. "Lock the doors and wait for the cavalry." "What about the book?" asked Anton. "What about it?" Rob asked. "We need that book. It's full of information about these guys. It's still in the teacher's lounge." "Are you serious?" Rob asked him. "You think that weird book has something to do with Steve's death?" "What? You don't?" Anton shot back. "It seems like this whole thing started when you and Annie opened up that door in the basement." "Hey, don't blame this on me," Rob snapped. "I'm not," Anton protested. "I just mean that it can't be a coincidence. You said that book was full of rituals about some kind of god or something. You can't tell me you actually believe that," Rob said. "No, of course not. But whoever killed Steve sure as hell does." "I'm not opening this door for anything," Rob said, pointing at the door, as if there was some contest about which door he meant. "Listen, man," Anton told him. "When I was looking through that book, I saw a lot of strange things, but some of them seem to add up. It makes a lot of references to pain and torture, and from what you said about the state of Steve's body, it definitely sounds like we're dealing with a torturer to me. And there's several references to someone they call the Vessel. It's some kind of harbinger, a remorseless killer. It said the Vessel would usher in the age of AI Sotak. What is EI SOTAC?